sure. So, I mean, my symptoms started when I was really young. So I just graduated university. So I was about 21 and I wasn't diagnosed until I was 24. So I had years of abnormal bleeding. And I mean, the symptoms grew quite gradually, which I think, with periods getting heavier and heavier, and if it's gradual, it's quite hard to have that one moment that flicks a switch and goes, you should get that checked out. But I was bleeding after sex, which again, I did know shouldn't happen. I mean, I was young and I didn't think it was cancer at all. Went to the doctor and they said, you're young on the pill, it's probably an eroded cervix from my hormones being messed around. And they didn't investigate it. And my bleeding got progressively heavier. I stopped bleeding after sex, weirdly. Don't know why. But my periods were at the point where I was using the largest size tampon and a nighttime towel and changing both of them every hour. So, I mean, it was a lot of bleeding. And I was getting to the point where I was really anemic and I was getting tired. I couldn't get through the work day. By 2 p.m, I was just absolutely just a total ghost. I had no energy at all. I had to have weeks at home just because I couldn't get out of bed. And then I had a few instances of bleeding between periods, and those were the symptoms I think that really impacted me, like emotionally and socially as well as physically, because the bleeding that happened between periods was so heavy. It wasn't like having spotting for me, and it wasn't like having a period just surprise you out of nowhere, which obviously most of us are used to. But I would, have one big gush all of a sudden. It was like I'd wet myself rather than bleeding. And it, the first time it happened, it was down to my knees on my jeans, and it happened all in one go as I stood up on a plane, which I guess maybe that's something to do with air pressure. I don't know. But, I was in a space where I was around lots of people, nowhere to go, trapped in a sardine can with blood on my jeans, which just kind of put the fear of life into me, really, because first of all, I'd never seen bleeding demonstrated like that. On TV and films, you see that all the time, but it's always a miscarriage. And I hadn't had sex for about 4 months at that point, but I still thought, geez, have I just miscarried? And I didn't know I was pregnant. And that's the only thing in my head that I could correlate to that level of blood in that instantaneous fashion. It just didn't occur to me it could be anything else. And then the doctors said it was probably stress, which was, I was 22 and I was kind of having great fun, and, life wasn't really stressful. And if anyone knows me, probably realize it takes a lot to get me stressed in the first place. So that was kind of silly. And, they didn't investigate it. And it just kind of went on with these symptoms that I thought were, huge amounts of bleeding that I don't think anyone could think that's normal.